Hello. This is a dream come true moment. Today, I wanted to share with you the story of two sisters. The picture which is shown here is, of course, one is me, the smaller one, and the other is my sister. This is the story of two sisters. Grew up under the same home, under the same roof. In a gap of few years, the parenting changed. To my sister, my parents were a kind of authoritarian kind of parenting, wherein which she had no room for voice. There were strict boundaries, rigid rules. But years later, my parents changed to a kind of authoritative parenting, in which there were clear boundaries, of course, but my voice was heard. There was voice of mine shouting at my home. I could say anything in my freedom. Later on, the result, years later, the two different women mirrored the same parenting they got from my own parents. My sister mirrored the same parenting habits she seen in my parents. To me, I reflected in my child the power of understanding. I do believe that those whispers we hear during our childhood echoes all along our life. The early experience we have as children strikes our mind a lot. The early emotions, the words spoken strikes our mind. We will carry that burden, that emotions all along our life. If we had a secure attachment, if we had security, feeling of trust from our parents, I do believe that we can regulate our emotions far better. I have seen so many children, as a pediatrician, as a developmental pediatrician, I have seen so many children struggling. Recently, a 10-year-old boy came to my OPD saying that he is having recurrent abdominal pain. I ruled out all the organic causes and came to understand that he is having troublesome parenting. There were troubles in between the parents. They were in a verge of separation. So if the child is having that secure attachment with the parents, if the child is feeling that feeling of security, trust from the parent, he can regulate the emotions better. If the child is having those kind of adverse childhood memories, childhood experiences, he can't regulate his emotions. He will be carrying out these problems all along his life. If he is neglected, or if he is abused, or if he is having the familial dysfunctioning at home, he will carry it all along his adolescent and adult life. You see all the problems that we are seeing nowadays. These children might not have had the secure attachment with their parents. They will have physical, mental, psychological, substance abuse, and maybe they may be having suicidal thoughts. Have you thought about what is the reason behind? They might have lacked that secure attachment with their parents. As a pediatrician, of course, I wanted to tell you about the wonderful effect of our brain. During the early childhood, our brain is having tremendous potential. It's like a plastic. It is highly adaptable. It absorbs everything like a sponge. So the basic signs of whispers is that whatever the child goes through, he would adapt, he would absorb everything like a sponge. So if he is having these positive and negative experiences, these neuronal pathways is being formed during the early childhood. Everything, every little thing, even the positive things and the negative experience influence the brain structure. During the early times, during the childhood is when the neuronal connections, the neuronal plasticity pathways are being formed. So all the positive and negative experience can alter the structure of brain. especially the children with chronic stress and trauma. They can lead to alteration in the brain structure. Do you know which part of the brain is being affected? The place of memory, emotional control, as well as personality, decision making, everything is affected. So, we have to make sure that the memories that we are giving to our children should always be positive so that their brain structure is not being altered. So if the children is having this alteration of brain structure, they will be having problems in decision making, emotional regulations, and they will be having troublesome relationships. Not only the brain structure, but also the epigenetics. Have you heard about epigenetics? Okay. Epigenetics is a study where we find that the environmental factors influence the genes. The chronic stress a child is having can go from one generation to another. It keeps on going along his childhood period as well as it will be there in the adolescent time. And he can spread the influence of this chronic stress towards the next generation. So if you want to change the generations to come, you have to make sure you are not transferring this kind of negative emotion to your child. Now, I want all of you to close your eyes. Think about your childhood. What whispers do you hear? Is it voice of criticism? Or is it voice of encouragement? What feeling does those words have? Don't you think those whispers echoes in your life? Don't you think that those echoes are all along the relationships between your parents, your family, your friends, your fiancé? Open your eyes. The inner voice you heard is your inner child. Some of you might have had joyful experience, but some of you might be having very painful ones. All these experiences are very remarkable impact on our life. It is not just the past, it continues to haunt us in the present, as well as it will continue to haunt us in the future. It decides who we are talking to. It decides how we see ourselves. It decides how we see others. It's also decide how we parent our own children. So this inner child is a working model based on which all of your relationship, all the relationship is based upon. So that relationships, that inner child, if the child is happy, if the child is not having that unresolved trauma of the childhood, then you will see that emotional regulation, you will be having healthy relationship with all. As a pediatrician, I have seen those echoes every single day. I have seen adults struggling with anxiety. Recently only, I have seen two people came up to me with their child. Always they were in difficulty saying, who says the correct history? Always in trouble, always. So the main problem is that they were having some sort of unresolved childhood traumas. So that were showing in their anxiety. I have seen parents repeating the same negative parenting habits just because what they say, I have seen my parents doing the same to me. So this cycle has to be broken. I have heard in my clinic, children told that they are too shy, they are too bad, they are too stubborn. Just these labels would lead them a life which is having low self-esteem, with troublesome relationship and emotional regulations. But the parenting pattern has been ready to change. Our generations, let's consider that from our generation on, we are ready to change. We are ready to stop transferring this baggage of trauma, transferring from our grandmother to our mother to us to our next generation. Let's be resilient. The human spirit is so resilient that they can break the cycle of this transferring of traumas. So I want all of you to consider a change of mind. Let's rewrite the script. I told you that healing is possible at any age. Let's consider that today is the day when you consider to come out of their unresolved trauma. Some of my friends who is ready to change, she told me like she had a lot of traumas in her childhood and she doesn't want this baggage of traumas to be converted, to be given to her child. So she is ready to change. She is ready, she is compassionate and she is ready to change. She appreciates the fact that I want to break this cycle of traumas from being transferred from one generation to another generation. That is the step we have to take. If we are healing ourselves, if we are ready to change today, that positive effect not only will be beneficial for us, but also it has got a ripple effect of positiveness from one generation to another generation. Let's create a future where every single child is being felt kind, loved, and secured. Let's create a future for better. Let's heal the world. Thank you.